Hi everybody, my name's Lynn Hayes. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to talk a little bit about the upcoming election in the United States. I've never been one to try to predict the future because I don't actually believe that the future can be predicted. There are so many things that all need to weave together, especially when we're talking about something like an election of the United States. Often when astrologers try to predict the outcome of an election, they look at the candidates. I did a little bit of research before making this video just to see what other astrologers were doing. And one thing I found very interesting is that in 2008 and 2016, there were lots and lots of predictions online. A lot of my colleagues were predicting the outcome, who was going to win. And this election, there have not been that many predictions. And I think what happened is in 2016, a lot of astrologers ended up with egg on their face because many astrologers predicted a win for Hillary Clinton. Her transits were stronger. She is a stronger individual. But what these evaluations don't take into consideration is the mood of the country. What's happening with the planetary transits and the cycles of the United States? What is the mood of the people? Which candidates are going to fit in better with that mood? And I was actually not surprised when Donald Trump won because I knew that whoever was the president during this 4 years, 2016 to 2020, would be a leader in the lead up to the US Pluto return, which even though officially it doesn't start until 2023, 2024, we're certainly already in the lead up to it. So just very briefly, the US Pluto return happens when Pluto in the sky returns to its place in the US chart, which in this case is 27 degrees Capricorn. That takes about 247 years. So humans don't have Pluto returns, but countries do. So because this is a big event that would almost certainly lead to some cataclysmic change in the United States, Trump was a logical candidate for that because of the kind of person that he is, because he was born under an eclipse with Mars rising in the chart. You know, he's quite a character, as we've seen over the last 4 years, love him or hate him. So in any case, trying to predict the outcome of an election is very difficult. So right now we have two candidates, Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And I've written some about their transits. I've been trying to stay away from it a little bit because, quite honestly, any kind of political post engenders so much animosity from everybody. So I'm a Libra. I try to stay away from conflict. But in any case, there are some things about this election that I did want to talk about. Last year when I wrote about Joe Biden, I had actually stated my opinion that I did not think that he would end up as the candidate, much less the president. And at the time, he really didn't have a lot of energy and his planets were okay, but they really weren't great. He's a very strong individual with a lot of Scorpio energy, Sagittarius rising, very affable, but his chart didn't really have a lot of energy to it. Like Trump, his chart is full of energy. You know, Mars rising gives him a great deal of kind of oomph, and he's sort of gotten through his life based on the sheer force of his personality. Biden doesn't have that. But what happened this spring is when he picked Kamala Harris, Harris is a very strong personality and a lot of people don't like her, especially Republicans, conservatives. They don't really care for her at all. A lot of liberals don't like her because she has been more moderate, and a lot of moderates don't like her because, I don't know, for a number of reasons. In the interest of full disclosure, she was actually my pick for president, so I like her quite a bit. And I feel that she really energized Biden's candidacy in a way that would not have happened had he chosen somebody more kind of malleable. Then that ticket would not have had the kind of energy, I feel, that would have led to a win. I did want to talk a little bit just about what's happening astrologically on election day that I think we need to be aware of. First of all, we are in the beginnings of the U.S. Pluto return. So not only is Pluto in the sky, nearing a conjunction to the U.S. Pluto, but Saturn in the sky, the planet of tests and challenges, has been transiting the U.S. Pluto all year. And the plutonic effect that we've been seeing in the country in terms of a lot of darkness coming out from seemingly nowhere really began when Pluto transited the ascendant of the U.S. chart. And that's going way back to 2005, maybe. This plutonic energy has been happening for quite a while, but it's really starting to crescendo right now. On election day, we have Mercury, which is retrograding back through the later degrees of Libra in an exact square to Saturn in the sky. It's also widely square to Pluto in the sky. But Saturn in the sky is exactly conjunct the U.S. Pluto. And so Mercury, which is in Libra, is squaring not only Saturn in the sky, also Pluto in the U.S. chart. So Mercury will be turning direct that day and kind of activating all of this plutonic energy. I believe that this is really going to start to trigger the U.S. Pluto return in a pretty powerful way. It's been sort of rumbling for a couple of years. So when I say that, I'm talking about conflict, the kind of destruction of what we thought was democracy. And it doesn't matter what side you're on. Everybody is sort of talking about the same thing. The right thinks the left is undermining democracy. The left thinks the right is undermining it. The country is literally being split exactly in half. And Mercury retrograde, sort of a small event as events go astrologically. Mercury turns direct 4 times a year. It's not that big a deal. But because of all of these other things, I do believe that it's going to be pretty significant. No matter who wins the election, it's looking pretty good for Biden, but we have a full moon coming up. The moon is conjunct Uranus. Big surprises could happen. We just don't know. But it doesn't really matter. Whoever wins, this sort of eruption is going to happen. Mercury turning direct on election day could help to send undecided voters or low energy voters to the polls. Mercury turned retrograde in 2000, which is when we had the whole hanging Chad election. But that was Mercury retrograde. Now Mercury's turning direct. So speaking of small events in terms of Mercury and hanging Chads, I do want to talk a little bit about Eris. I don't use Eris all that much in natal charts. It moves so slowly. There's almost no change from transits or whatever. But Eris is named after the goddess of discord. And in mythology, Eris was the goddess who threw the golden apple into the party, saying who is the fairest of them all, started a big fight, which then became the Trojan War. So the symbolism to me of Eris is these small, seemingly insignificant events that create a big trauma. For example, one of the worst wildfires in California, was started by a gender reveal party where somebody set off a balloon or a sparkler or something that triggered this big flame. And that's kind of an Eris effect. And Eris has been traveling. Eris is in Aries. Mars has been going back and forth over Aries as it retrogrades. And Eris is in a square to the 3 planets traveling in Capricorn. On election day, Eris will be opposite Mercury, which stations direct. So Mercury is very powerful. It's opposing Eris, the goddess of discord. They're both in a square to the 3 planets in Capricorn, especially Saturn and Pluto. Jupiter's back around 18 degrees. It's kind of in there, but not really. But Saturn and Pluto, that's the fear combination, the challenge, the compression, contraction. So this is a fair amount of chaotic energy. I do believe that it's useful to have information about what's coming. Now, in the best of all possible worlds, everything moves through smoothly and there's a little bit of chaos, but the chaos results in a big change that helps the country to operate more smoothly and more functionally. But based on what I've been seeing over the past couple of years, I'm not super confident that this is going to happen. But it doesn't have to affect us personally. No matter what happens in the world, we in our own personal lives can find a way through. And that's what we really have to do right now. It's very important, especially if you live in the United States, that we find our center, that we find our point of truth. I know so many of my clients are in such distress about what's happening in the United States and in the world and with the virus. And, you know, I'm afraid we're going to see some pretty severe economic results from this. But we have to focus first on our own individual life. What do we need to do in order to live more effectively, in order to live more joyfully, in order to have happier relationships that are more functional? And then once we get our own life in a place where we can manage it, then we can reach out to our families, to our communities. And then as the communities become healthier, then the communities can expand into the larger communities. And this is how the ripple effect helps to change the energy in the world. So there's not much that we can do right now to affect the election. We can vote, we can encourage other people to vote. But like I said, the problem is not the candidates. The problem is this underlying dysfunction in the country and the fact that Pluto in the sky, astrologically, is bringing all of this dysfunction to the realm of conscious acknowledgement. And this is a very important phase, you know, as long as all that darkness is hidden, it can never really be rooted out. So no matter who wins on the 3rd, I wish you all the best. And I'll be back probably for a post-election recap. Thanks so much for watching.